You either love it or hate it. And I love it when I need it. I don't love it all the time, but when I need it, it works so effectively at what it does. I think more effectively than any other board out there still. That board is a training board. The TB2, the Kilter board, the MoonBoard, those are climbing boards that, yes, you can train on. This is a training board that you can climb on. That's a big difference.
Welcome to the Testpiece podcast. This podcast is about all things high-level climbing. How to go from good to great. I'm your host, Joshua Horsley. I've been climbing for over 30 years. We recently updated our Patreon, and now you get exclusive content from the guests that you love. You get your episodes before everyone else, and they're ad-free. Try it out now at patreon.com/testpiece with a free 7-day trial. Okay, let's start the show.
Board Talk is back. Michael Rosato, how's it going, man?
It's going great. How are you, Joshua?
Michael Rosato, I said your full name because we get new listeners every time. And I know you're internet famous, of course, but I just want to make sure that people know who it is, the new people who join us. Maybe they got pulled in by some other episode. This may be their first time hearing about you. You're Michael Rosato, Director of Marketing at Tension. I was about to say you are a board lord. You are a board lord, but I would say that you might be the kingmaker of board lords. You bring the board lords into the Tension facility and then dole it out as you see fit. So it's even better, man.
I need another clever name. For anybody wondering, by the way, Will coined that phrase. Unless someone else had said it years before and I just missed it. Will was the one that came up with board lord. We were talking one day and everybody was trying to go outside and work on projects and stuff. And I was like, man, I'm just don't want to do that. I think it was Alpine season. It takes a lot to get me out. But anyway, this was right after that we had started working on the TB2. So I was like, man, I'm just going to stay back and play on this thing. And he was like, yeah, you would. You're a board lord. I was like, board lord? Board lord, that's amazing.
I'm getting that tattooed on my chest. Yes.
Yeah, that's so clever. So now it's its own brand, basically.
And so the series was born. And now we're talking about on Board Talk. Maybe not quite as clever, not quite the not alliteration, but what's that? It like board lord. It kind of rhymes.
I think Board Talk's catchy enough.
So Alpine season, you're not willing to walk, Michael? I know it's Alpine season. Yeah, I've been seeing your boy Quinn get out, and he's out there climbing. He doesn't mind walking. What's the matter, dude?
No, I have not been feeling myself lately. I don't know that necessarily means I shouldn't go outside because that's not really an excuse. I don't know. Work's been a lot. It's been really hot. That's the thing for me is I'm fine with hiking. I'm fine with walking, but I feel like more times than not, maybe I don't go out enough, but I feel like more times than not, I'm ending up hiking my ass off and it's still hot. And I just feel like, damn, like what is going on? I just feel like Alpine season isn't even what it used to be. Right. So I'm more of a local season guy. You'll see me going out a lot more, when it gets colder, but
no pressure from me. If you want to be indoors on the boards, I'll be right there with you. I have been going outdoors a little bit because I just love this time of year, man. I don't know. I'm kind of psyched, Michael. I'm kind of psyched.
You look psyched.
It's the coffee and it's you.
Well, not today necessarily. I think I don't see a lot of outside content you're posting, but I see you got your board up and going. You're climbing. You're doing it. So
yeah,
you're not injured.
Well, that's debatable. I have a board account, Testpiece, Josh. Or actually, I don't know if that's my board account. It's my board account because I only post board stuff on there. And sometimes people will comment, like I posted my best board send, maybe not in my opinion, but objectively grade wise. And there was a bunch of nice comments. And then someone was like, got any projects outside? I was like, maybe, but this is what I'm proud of today. So give me a break. And now I don't really have an outlet for where to post my outdoor content. I usually put up on YouTube, but it just seems somehow inappropriate to put it next to the boards. Is that weird that I think like that?
No, it's a board account. And I don't know if there's anything that we're trying to get across with growing the board culture. It's that it's okay to not go outside. If you want to throw down on a 2D surface, that's fine too. So
Okay, that's a good segue to something I was going to talk about, which is I have been climbing on my 2024 MoonBoard in my garage, which, by the way, I think I'm going to move my recording studio out there soon. Like
sick.
I'm in a guest bedroom right now, my office guest bedroom. It's nice, but wouldn't it be cool if I had just like a spray wall behind me, a little MoonBoard next to it? Yeah, so I'm in the garage. I'm on the 2024 set more often. I had my first real, like, I'm not injured. I'm trying hard. It's a little bit colder than the middle of summer, and I had blast. I freaking loved it. And I posted on my board account so you guys can check them out. But I just wanted to shout out 2 climbs I did, because sometimes you're just doing climbs. You don't care. You're not thinking about it. And sometimes like one kind of gets you and you're like, ooh, like, and the fact that I can now share that on either the board account or here is really cool, because it's just fun to spotlight something and be like, hey, you guys should go climb this. And then people can.
Totally. Yeah.
So on the lower grade, the one I really wanted to shout is Tempest in a Teapot, which is V5 by rtag.
That's a great name.
Well, it's actually it's her first letter of her first name and her first 3 letters of her last name, which you make it sound like that's like how we all got nicknamed in high school. So I was J-Hor. Like I was J-Hor forever. J-Hor was my so rtag. Maybe I won't say her full name just because in case she's doesn't want to be publicized. I actually know her husband helped me build the barn board during COVID, which is kind of what led me down the board track. So thank you, rtag and husband. But this one, she's a setter on the MoonBoard. I think she's even a benchmark certifier. I don't know if they have a cool name for that, but you know, she's got the admin button. But this one it was lots of twisting. It had a lot of body movement. Like if you're in a small space on the board, and a MoonBoard is, you know, one of the smaller boards, there's a way to add time on the wall by making sure that you have to twist a lot, you know, walk your feet back and forth. And even if you only have like a few hand moves, if you make the feet and the kind of directions of the hold force a lot of foot walking, it adds to that climb. And so I thought she did a really good job on that. And the other one was Moonspawn, a V9 by Dana Rader, who I think we shouted out at some point. Amazing climber. She's amazing. The reason why I brought it up and segue into this is because you were talking about, you know, just climbing on like a 2D panel, right? So boards are 2D panel at this point. Who knows what the future holds. But this climb like was intricate and had this interesting middle sequence where I had to get a heel hook and then do some hard moves. And then when I released the heel hook, it wasn't like I was splayed out with a low foot. It was like I had to twist my hips to get a back step with my other foot to then release the heel. It just was intricate. And I literally wrote in my notes here that was a reminder that flat walls can have a lot of subtlety and fun rather than just smash or grab. So I know you're not like diminishing the 2D realm of boards, but this was a good example of just intricate, beautiful climbing on a 2D.
No, that's awesome. And Steve and Dana set some really good ones. I saw that you did Stargaze.
Good one.
That 10. Dude, that one's so good. You do so many different things with it. And I have seen probably 3 different betas for getting through that boulder, and they're all the same difficulty. And I love when that happens. I believe they have one. Steve and Dana have one in their house. So they obviously spend a ton of time on it. But their boulders show that. Their boulders are a lot of times really intricate in that way. And I don't know, you know, that was something, again, that I noticed about the 2024. I felt like you got a lot more of that. Are you finding that now that you're climbing on it a good bit more? Like, has your opinion changed, or is there an update on it since you've been climbing on yours? Or
well, you know, my update is that I just realize how much deeper I still need to go to have like a super formed opinion in a way. You know, it's like I discover new things every time, and I'm enjoying the blue holds are really interesting where they are physically bigger, but often they aren't as good as they look in the sense of like they're good handholds, but that allows for better feet or heel hooking or toe hooking more than say the yellow holds were, which maybe had that same kind of small hold style as far as bad for your hands, but didn't leave as many options for interesting footwork. And so I'm seeing that show up, and which is cool. I'm digging it, man. Loving it.
That's awesome. Yeah, agreed. They're bigger holds, but they just don't bite as much. They're just, the surface is like either more rounded or the angle is off, but they're still really, really hard. But yeah, you're right. It opens up a lot of footwork possibilities. So anyway, yeah, keep posting some stuff. I'm psyched. You're doing a lot of boulders that I frankly was not doing or having a lot of trouble with. You're smashing them. It looks just like old Josh again, right?
I'm trying. I'm trying to not make a comeback, but keep maintaining my MoonBoard ability. Well, one thing that I did notice, so I haven't been on a MoonBoard as much. I've been on tension boards and kilter boards more, and I gotta say, I don't love the LED below the hold thing, and I think it's more pronounced now because those holds are bigger, just like we were talking about. And you'll see, I did something called Chef, and there's like this hard move where my feet cut, and then you can see me do an extra swing because I don't remember, like I can't see the feet that I'm supposed to be putting them on. It took me an extra swing to remind myself. And, I like both the tension and kilter style of lighting up, and arguably I'd like them both at once. Like I'd like idiot proof, like, it's this one, you idiot. It's right here, So that's the only thing I'm kind of remembering and maybe not enjoying on that whole setup.
So, some would say that's a good thing because you hold the hold longer just to just figure it out. So there's a trade-off. But I've definitely fallen because of that.
Well, let's shelf that. This will come up. But yeah, how's your climbing been going? I know you're not doing the hiking, but you're still climbing. I see you out there.
Yeah, no, it's been fine. I actually, so after we got back from Squamish, I got thrown into a shit ton of work. I definitely took it more of a vacay than usual, and so that's pretty typical after vacations. You skip throw back into it, but climbing's been well. I tapered off a good bit, honestly. I was trying to rest. Climb a little less than usual because I wanted to heal the body before launching back into a training block, which I'm currently in. I just started back a new one for like 4 weeks. Shout out Matt Jones. By the way, Matt's a great trainer. He's who I work with. But yeah, I'm not going outside as much. I'm planning to do so once it gets colder here locally. I'm just trying to do a lot of purposeful climbing, and I'm trying to lift a lot, trying to work on my mobility. So yeah, that's been kind of the extent. I'm really just trying to inject a good bit of variety in my climbing and training right now. Because I've always found success in that. I'm just changing it up, not doing the same thing every day. Like I love boards and all of that, but it will kill you if you do it every single day. But yeah, for this training plan, it's cool because I'm trying to set. So each week I'm doing like purposeful climbing, but I'm going between the TB1, the TB2, commercial facilities, and then I'm trying to make myself at least one day a week go outside, regardless of the result. Like I'm trying to sort of use those specific drills that I'm doing inside and kind of apply them to the outside. It's good though. But yeah, not doing too much outside climbing right now. I'm trying to get back into sort of a training regimen before it gets really cold. But yeah, it's been nice to get back on the TB1.
Yeah, I saw you do a little poll on your Instagram that was something about like TB1 and yeah. What was that about?
Well, before I get to that, let me say this. Like I don't know, people hate on TB1. I know it sounds batshit crazy that I'm like excited to get on that board to a lot of people. I think it's the most polarizing board out there.
It's just brutal. It's hard.
But yeah, I think it's honestly, I always try to take the opportunity to say this because I think it's definitely just a misunderstood board. You either love it or hate it. And I love it when I need it. I don't love it all the time, but when I need it, it works so effectively at what it does. I think more effectively than any other board out there still. That board is a training board. The TB2, the kilter board, the MoonBoard, those are climbing boards that, yes, you can train on. This is a training board that you can climb on. And that's a big difference. But yeah, I threw up a poll because I was just getting back into it. I'm like, every time I get back on that board after taking a break, it is a rude awakening. It beats my ass. And it's such a different way than any other board. And polls are one of my favorite things to do lately, especially around boards, because we have a lot of questions and I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm just always interested in seeing what else everybody thinks. Anyway, over the years, I have, as much as I've heard how difficult a MoonBoard is, specifically the 2016, I feel like I have heard that equal amount of that from people who climb and train on the TB1. So I just wanted to understand, of the folks who spent time on both of those boards, which one they found to be the most difficult. And so I threw up a poll. And now let me also say this, though, that it's not like a perfect one-to-one comparison. And I get that. Like one is a fixed angle, yes, and one is adjustable. So you can make it easier. But just pound for pound, let's just say it's 40 degrees against 40 degrees or something like that, or whatever. I just was curious, people's overall thoughts. And so I ended up getting like 631 responses, which was more than I thought, which is great. That's a great sample size. But the result was 51%, which was 319 people, said that the TB1 was most difficult. And then 49%, which was 312, said that the 2016 MoonBoard was more difficult to them, which is a difference of 7 votes. So they're basically 50-50. And I fully expected that. I was telling, and that was surprising to a lot of people. I was telling that to Will. He was like, damn, I didn't expect that people would say that. And I will say that I prefaced in the poll, like, please only answer this if you've had time on both systems. Don't like screw this up by just voting for one because you like it or whatever. But yeah, no, I didn't find that very surprising. I thought it was pretty on point from what I've heard. I just think both of those boards are just notoriously tough in their own way. And to me, the MoonBoard is all in your hands. And more times than not, it's asking you the question of like, can I latch this pretty specific, bad, uncomfortable hold while traveling high speed? Whereas the TB1 is, can I latch this bad, but pretty general shape that has no texture while cutting feet or while keeping tension through shitty non-textured feet? And so they're just so different in their own ways, but they're both very brutal. So I thought it was interesting.
I was surprised on that. I'd say like the underground world would say that the TB1 in general is more brutal. Just my hunch is like that's what would come out. But then the more like general population, I feel like the 2016 just has that kind of aura around it. And hearing about how you're describing these boards too, it makes me think that one of the reasons these have both become really popular all over the world is it's such a good tool for sport climbers. Like the reason why I say that is just like if you have great technique and endurance and you're flowing all the time, and then you get on the MoonBoard or the TB1, you're like, okay, it's more in your hands, especially the 2016. Like what a great thing to just for someone who doesn't typically jump and latch to jump and latch. And you saw, like, I know J-Star, amazing American sport climber, puts a lot of time into the MoonBoard and boards in general. And he's amazing at them, but he's even more amazing at sport climbing. It just, it's again, tool for the job. What are you looking to do?
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of goes with what your recent Good Temp says, something that Will was saying about sport climbers need to put a little more time into bouldering and in some of those brutal scenarios that are happening on like bouldering specific boards, I would say. But anyway, yeah, they both had their own like cult following, I think.
I'm laughing because there was my social media team clipped Will saying that about sport climbing and the fact that bouldering is really a great tool for it. And then someone responded like, I hate how people talk about bouldering is just training for real climbing. I was like, you must not know who's talking about this, because I know Will has climbed all sorts of different things, but I don't think Will personally would denigrate bouldering or call it not real climbing. So I just thought that was hilarious.
Oh my God. I mean, he's done every discipline pretty much. Trad, sport. He's been a train. I think he knows what he's talking about, but
well, it was a misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding. There's always people that are like, if it doesn't have ropes, it's not real or some shit. I don't know, man. Just get with it.
Well, I've been watching a bunch of, I don't know why the YouTube algorithm takes me here, but I've been watching like tons of like Everest, K2, like that kind of stuff. And, if you want to You can always point to someone who's more hardcore than you, or more, I don't know, like just enjoy what you do and love it. So, okay. Well, on that idea of YouTube media, there was some good board media this month. Michael, I think you were responsible for the biggest board media drop this month. You guys did Tension Ass or Grass episode 3 with Mr. Alex Honnold. I've heard of him.
Did you say you said grass?
Dude, I always say grass. I always say grass.
Every one of these episodes, I'm going to call, there's going to be something. It was mid-toe and now it's grass.
Well, I mean, we all know it's ass, grass, or gas. Okay, I don't need to explain.
I'm sorry, I got to call you out. I was just messing with you.
So, yeah, big episode. A little shy of last month's 2.5 million view record set by Yanya and Midtoe. But yeah, just congrats on the episode. And just maybe you can remind us a little bit about the Ass or Gas series and kind of like the general concept of these ones.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I was responsible for all the views. I mean, that's a pretty decently performing series for us, but who we had on it, I think, is probably why people watch. But yeah, for those who aren't familiar, Ass or Gas is a series where we take user submitted climbs on the TB2. Before these episodes, we randomly post like a Google form on our Instagram to collect these climbs from people. We had a lot of people asking, how can they submit? Just follow us on Instagram. We'll post about it if you want to submit your climbs. Anyway, so yeah, then we collect them and we climb. We select some of them, we climb them, and then we rate them. And so if they're bad, they're ass. Obviously, if they're good, they're gas.
But what was the grass ones?
Yeah. Yeah. We do have an in-between of, okay, which is Helen likes to say fart, which I guess it works anyway. So
maybe my editor can insert that sound there instead of
yeah. Quinn is having a ball with the fart noises every time he edits these things.
Very grown up. Really grown up here.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah. And so if they're really good, they're class, or we make them classic is what we kind of say. So yeah, Ass or Gas. And so this episode was our third episode. And we had Alex Honnold and Emily Harrington, who were in town for Outside Fest. Their manager reached out to us. Tyler Wilcutt, he's a longtime friend of mine. He's from Birmingham area where I'm from, and we climbed together back in the day. But yeah, they wanted to come out of the shop, get us a climbing session beforehand. Tyler was just like, look, if you want to, it'd be cool to shoot something if you want. I was like, cool, well, let's go this route. We had a call and I was explaining what this was. And we ended up on Ass or Gas with them because I just thought it might fit Alex's personality to rag on some bad TB2 boulders. I think people who were new to the series, who had jumped on that third episode, some of them were off put by the format. I think that to a lot of people, they thought we just went into the database and just grilled random climbs. And that's just not what it is. I think people understand who have watched the series that like these are submitted. And when you submit these, just from other episodes that this is good. They might be grilled. They might be asked. If you want us to feature them, if you want us to climb them, like that's just a part of it. But anyway, so on this episode, we primarily stuck to the spray layout because Alex has a TB2, but it's set to mirror at his house. So we just wanted to give him more time on the spray. I will say we did not have very much time for this episode. So the one thing I felt a little bad about is we kind of glazed over a good bit of the feedback portion, which I felt bad about. Like normally we take more time and we're, if something's bad, we'll kind of take a second to say like, if you'd have done this, if you'd have done that, like that would make it flow, et cetera. But we, just being the circumstances, we ended up kind of glazing over all that. And I just kind of felt bad, but, we put a message, we pinned a message to the video to underneath the video in the comments. And we're just like, look, if you set a boulder in this and we ended up giving it ass or whatever, like reach out to us. We will do a personalized video for you telling you, exactly what we would have done or just more constructive feedback than we actually gave. And so we've been doing that throughout the week.
Dude,
since we dropped
awesome. It. That's really, really cool that you guys take the time to do that.
I felt bad. I was like, well, we got Alex on there, and because we were rushed and all of this stuff to get something that we could work with, I just was like, man, it's a fine episode, but we ended up, this episode was more of the bad climbs than we normally get. We normally there's hardly any bad climbs, but we just went back in, and for some random reason we had a lot of them. So anyway, but it's all good. We've been giving them the feedback they deserve. So
Alex was definitely a bit surly, and yeah, definitely called out a lot of ass. I wish I could have heard that call you had with Tyler, and he's the agent for these guys, and I know Alex and Emily probably too. They do keynote speaking for Fortune 50 companies. They're flying all over talking about life and death, and he's probably like, "You want my clients to what ass? Did you say ass? You want them to do a video? That's the title?" Yeah, sure. Like, that sounds great, dude. Like,
Wilcott was fine with it. I mean,
he climbed too. He was strong. He was good, dude.
Oh yeah. He's always been. Oh, dude, Tyler's. Yeah, he's when he was really in it, he one of the strongest out of the South for sure, especially on sport. But yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not fully, even aside from the conversation beforehand, like I'm not sure it was fully relayed to Alex exactly what we'd be doing. He seemed a little confused still when we got there, but he contributed, and at least for a little bit, seemed to have fun with it. I will say Emily seemed to really get into it, and it was great having her there to contribute for the shorter climbers. But this is where Quinn usually comes in. He's like, "What do you mean, Michael? You were there."
I didn't realize Emily was 5'2". I was surprised when you guys did the stats, and I don't know if that's like on the shorter side. It's like probably somewhat average woman height, but she climbs everything, and she climbs things that are extremely hard. I don't know, she doesn't always look like she climbs super small box. So yeah, kind of interesting to hear that. I do like hearing stats sometimes, because it does often change beta, and it's not always readily apparent just looking at someone what their size is.
For sure. And from someone who I would say doesn't boulder as much as she sport climbs, big wall climbs, etc., I was surprised at how powerful she climbed on that board. She seemed fine, like totally at home with it. But
what'd you think of their styles of climbing? You get to see, I mean, the best of the best, and they are the best of the best in their specific disciplines. And it's just kind of interesting. Like, what'd you notice about how they approach climbing on the board? I mean, clearly I know both of them board climb quite a bit, but that's not really what they're known for. And it showed in how they moved on the board. Just, anything that stood out?
I wouldn't say that this was necessarily the environment where I could really pay attention and like part out those skill sets. I think that he would probably agree with this. Like, Alex is not at home on boards. He likes board climbing. He does board climb, but I think he would probably agree that's not his best skill set, which is probably why he spends the time on them, because it probably helps him in the things that he does do, as far as base fitness, etc. His hands are like huge. Like, it seemed like most of those holds, no matter how big they were, he was just like the crimps. It was like his hands don't fit on those holds at all. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say that was the environment where I could actually actually see what their strengths are and understand why they're good at what they are. Like, I don't think a board has really much in common with the types of solos and stuff and crazy big walls that Alex is known for. So it was.
I'll just armchair critique them, because that's what I do evidently. Yeah, I got to climb on Alex in his garage on the MoonBoard, and just the thing I noticed, and this is not, none of this is a knock, it's just an observation. When you look at some of the younger board climbing stars, they just fly and jump and cut feet with reckless abandon. Take big back slaps. Like Sean RHM would just fall on his back. Just like, I don't know if I ever saw him land on his feet. Like how you always, and I remember watching Honnold a video when he went to Mallorca, and he kind of talked about how he wasn't used to falling. Like, he's like, okay, I'm not on a rope. I know I can fall in the ocean, but he doesn't seem to be one who likes to climb way out of control. And that would make sense given his massive amount of mileage in situations where falling was not okay. And although I don't know if Emily solos, I don't know, she does big wall stuff that's almost like soloing often. It's you're often in situations where falling is not an option, or it's not recommended. And I feel like you could see a little bit of that where, very keep their feet on, very controlled, and it's not bad. It just was an observation I had, and I'm sure that if they spend as much time on boards, they might start to get a little looser. Might be a little more dynamic. I don't know, for better or for worse. Maybe that would be bad for them.
I will definitely say that, as Alex seemed much more at home when he could keep all 4 points on. And that makes sense. Like, he has, like, the level of control he has to have on all 4 points when he's doing what he's doing. You're not really jumping when you're free soloing something or way off the deck on this. I mean, sometimes you are. He definitely seemed way more in control when all 4 points were on. But yeah, I don't know. Either way, very cool to hang with those guys. It was great of them to be willing to spend the time to jump into a silly series like that.
I loved seeing it. I clicked liked and watched the whole thing as soon as I saw it come out. And I also, one of my comments was, you guys climbed on a lot of not so great boulders. I wish you would have provided feedback. And now hearing that you did directly, just awesome. Like, love that, man. Really cool. Okay. Next video of the month, bouldering Bobat, quote unquote, the wall actually looks this crazy. Actually, I'll just let you set up. That's my handoff to you. The wall actually looks this crazy. You posted this one for me to watch, and I was psyched on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this wall on Instagram pop up a lot, and probably anybody listening to this probably has seen it. They just maybe didn't know where it was or anything about it. It's the Volny, Volny, Volny gym in Japan. This is that spray wall where you can't even see the wall behind the holds. There's that many holds on the freaking wall. And so the Bouldering Bobat guys went and just did a session at that gym. And it was cool because they went through the motions of what I'm sure everybody would do. They use like a spray wall app for the board, but you're like, where the hell? You're having to find, it's like a Where's Waldo situation while you're trying to find each of the holds. I will be honest with you, as cool as that looks, it gives me anxiety. Everybody who knows me and has climbed with me on even just a regular spray wall knows that I've just got such terrible spray wall memory, like especially on new ones. Like I get used to them over time, but especially in the beginning, I just have such a hard time just remembering and seeing. Because, when you walk up the spray wall, you'll look at a hold at the head height or whatever. And then you get underneath it and you're looking straight up. A lot of the holds just don't look the same as what they did. So there's just a thing for me. But I don't know. I would just have such a hard time at that gym. But it's crazy. I've never seen a wall anywhere near that density of holds.
Dude, the whole freaking gym was like that too. It wasn't just one wall.
It wasn't just a wall, right? It was kind of the whole. I have to rewatch the video. I can't remember. It seemed like there was a part of the gym that wasn't this, but it wasn't just a single wall. You're right. It was kind of like a whole like part of the gym where all of the walls in their entirety were just sprayed like crazy.
Yeah, maybe not the whole gym, but a lot. Like there was more than just one wall.
Well, yeah, it wasn't just a wall. It was kind of like an alcove area that was just totally. Anyway, some of those holds look so close. Like it looked like you would for sure like hit your knuckles on the holds above them when you're going to the hold you're going to.
Or like the foot, like that knocking into the other one when you try to like toe in on something. When you like toe in on something and then your knuckle hits the next one, it pops your foot off.
Yeah. It looked so difficult, but I can't imagine how long it took to set that thing. Because if it's done well, then you probably don't have that problem with your knuckles and your feet. If it's done really well and things are snugged up in the right way, that's part of the art of a spray wall. It's not just fitting them together and all of that. It's making sure you're not inhibiting any other holds around, any given hold. So Yeah, I don't know, but they look to be just thousands and thousands of holds right next to each other. So it's truly wild. Craziest one I've ever seen, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely lived up to that Instagram picture of that. I'm sure we've all seen where it just looks ridiculous, and it was that ridiculous, maybe even more ridiculous. The first thing I thought when I started watching that video is that those dudes were just like, yeah, we're just in Japan. We're just going to go like climb this wall. I was like, Michael, why aren't we just like instead of talking about that video, we should be going and making that. Let's go to Japan, dude.
Let's do it. Look, I'm trying to make that a reality.
Okay.
Because we can't like, we've started something with our YouTube where and even with this pod, like we need to go there. Like I can't, not everything is in the Front Range or in the US for that matter. Like we just got to go there eventually. So
okay.
I'm down. Let's do
it. I'll have my assistant reach out to your assistant to schedule something and find the funds somewhere. Sounds great. I really enjoyed this video, and there was like a couple of things about it that just stood out as I'm not surprised that Japan with their tons of little gyms have these kind of niche type of gyms. That's like, I mean, there was a lot going on in that gym. It appeared other than this hardcore spray wall. I know I said that there were some parts that maybe weren't in it, but that gym was not massive. That was not like a 50,000 square foot warehouse. That was, tiny. And I love that, dude. Like, how cool would it be to go to that? And then it had kind of like an old school spray wall vibe. Like, these were crimps. These were like the climbs that they chose to try looked very straightforward, very like graspy, get your foot on, thrust to the next one, just kind of old school. And it looked really fun, man. I don't know. That would be such a fun thing for when you're talking about making sure you have diversity in your climbing. It's like, let's go this crazy Cordo B pump on slopers on Sunday, and then we'll go here on Tuesday. And I thought you might have some insight into this, but I looked at all those holds. There was a lot of them, a lot of fucking holds, dude.
Thousands,
crazy. I was like, how much do all those holds cost? But the other thought was, I didn't really recognize a ton of those holds. Like, did you recognize a bunch of them? You're more into that than me, probably.
No, but that's also because you didn't get very close to any one of them. But one thing that I will say, because I actually follow Volny, I think they make their own holds.
Wow, cool.
If I'm not
That's
mistaken.
even cooler,
I don't know
dude.
if they're all that, but I'm almost certain that they make their own holds, and so I would assume that a lot of them are made there as well. Yeah, man. It's like that was like the polar opposite of the Yanyo board.
Exactly.
Just as opposite as you could get from.
That's what makes it special, though. I love it being opposite rather than like, oh, it's kind of different. It's like opposite.
Everything going on in Japan, it's like this alternate reality. It's like this. It's just different version of what is going on in the US, but it's not worse. It's just different. And every time I see something, whether it's like the Japanese competition style or like a gym that just maybe is probably like a hole in the wall, but just maximizes every bit of space that it has, it's just like, that makes sense. Like, that's sick. I really do. We got to go there. I want to go on a gym tour. I mean, there's climbing outside in Japan too, but like even if I could only do a gym tour,
dude, I'm in
to get my ass handed to me, I would do it.
Love that like touch of mystique over there. Just that it's different from us, and like that's just exciting to me as someone that because sometimes you just get stuck in your bubble and you think this is how a gym looks, this is how a spray wall looks, and then when it's not like that, it blows my mind. And I also just want to say that if they are shaping their own holds, like that's like ultimate vertical integration. You're like, yeah, I built these walls. I made my freaking holds. Like that's commitment. And so, yeah, wonderful, fun video. Also cool to see that they thought that would be a cool video and they did. And, sure enough, very popular with board obsessed people like you and me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm looking on their Instagram right now, and I'm like looking at
flights. Are you looking at flights too?
Yeah, flights. No, they got somebody explaining like holds, and I'm pretty sure those are the hold sets. That's their hold sets, and they're kind of pointing them out on the wall there. So anyway, very cool.
Nice, dude. Okay. On the bucket list, we'll go to Seus, then we'll over to there. Totally different.
I'll keep downloading this podcast. Maybe there's something, somehow, some way that's like that's what this will turn into.
Trips to tiny boards in Japan. Okay.
Yeah.
It could happen. I don't know. I like you putting it out there in the world. Quick break while I tell you about today's sponsor. You. That's right, you. Thank you to all the patrons who help make this show possible. Join them so you can get episodes early before anyone else, and those episodes are ad-free. As a patron, you also get to submit questions for upcoming guests. The answers to those questions are only available to patrons. Follow the link in the show notes to join now. You also get access to a private Discord where you'll find me and other people who want to go from good to great. Okay, back to the pod. Okay, this one you sent it to me, but I also wanted to highlight it, is Shauna Coxsey Intro to Board Climbing. And I just thought it was good for us to round out kind of a more intro style. And also Shauna Coxsey, friend of the pod, amazing climber, amazing everything. And this video that she did on intro board climbing, really well produced, really high quality. Also, those boards, they're at the hangar, I want to say. I don't know where it is. UK.
Yeah,
do you know?
It's the climbing hangar. It's a new gym in the UK, which honestly, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've been seeing a handful of sick videos and board content coming out of these sick new facilities in UK. Like there's a lot of really cool new facilities in the UK. So anyway, cool to see. But yeah, that's the climbing hangar.
Climbing hangar. Okay, good shout. Beautiful board set. It looks like the boards were getting an intro to climbing as well, because they had no chalk on them. It was a 2024 MoonBoard, a TB2. Was it a mirror? No, it was a spray. I couldn't tell. I can't remember.
It was a spray, I believe, which was kind of interesting to me that they would choose the spray, because the kilter board and the MoonBoard are spray too. So, but
well, don't worry, they can change it. They can change it.
Yeah, they can change it if they want to. But anyway,
so just a good, informative, well thought out video. Sometimes I've seen some kind of intros to board climbing. I'm like, this is lame. This is not helpful. This is stupid. This person must not have ever board climbed. And it's like, you should, light up the holes that you want to climb on, or something just dumb. 101. And although this is called intro to board climbing, it felt like it was 102. It had some really good tips on there. And some of the stuff that really resonated with me was this basic one of having a goal when you board climb. And the two ones that she pointed out was trying something really hard or doing volume, like doing a lot of climbs. And I'm glad that she pointed those out, because that's actually in some ways what boards are really good at. It's like, do you want to climb a lot of climbs? We got infinite climbs. Good luck. Do you want to try really hard? Oh, don't worry. There's some really freaking hard climbs in here. And I just thought it was good to set that intention, because you really can go far on that spectrum on either way. And I for a number one tip that came right out of her mouth as like, hey, when you climb on these, this is how you got to think. I was like, okay, Shauna, I'm writing this down.
Yes, I will echo that. I think that was awesome. That, I really appreciate her mindset approach to the board climbing. She said the mindset thing, like it's great for newer board climbers to emphasize that for newer board climbers. Even I oftentimes just get on the board and do whatever, but it's great to hammer home the idea to newer climbers of that intentionality, right? And using the board as a purposeful training tool. Of course, and we talk about this all the time, doesn't just have to be used for that, but it's amazing if you use it for that. But yeah, she mentioned, I think the quote was, and I wrote it down here, is it about climbing hard for you or getting lots of training done? When I am trying to be intentional about my sessions, that's really the two high level categories I'm aiming for, right? It's either projecting or it's volume. And I think most people, when they're board climbing, they focus on volume, because they just flip through climbs and all
really?
of that.
That's what people are doing? Okay. I didn't know. You would know. We should make a poll. Let's make a poll.
I do. I think that most people are not projecting. They're just doing as many as possible in a certain comfort zone. But yeah, either way, I think being intentional about whatever you're doing is massively important if you want to see progression on boards or not. But that was great to emphasize. So really like that. Really appreciated that.
I also ripped a quote from there as well that she said, board climbing is for everybody. And I just like that she put that out there.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. That was the first thing, because we all watched. I pulled it up in the office and we were all watching it, and I was like, thank God, because I'm so sick of this idea that it's not. But I understand why that started and why that is still kind of around. But no, I think that it is for everybody. The only thing I wish she could have spoken about that wasn't touched on was how to use adjustability to ease into board climbing, which, I mean, to be fair, those boards at that gym were all fixed angle, so she really couldn't have done that. But I don't know. I think that's one of the more important things for newer climbers on boards is just many of these boards now, if not all of them, since the MoonBoard, are made to be adjustable. So like, for newer climbers, starting out at a less steep angle is kind of crucial to easing into it. Otherwise, I think you're setting yourself up for a potential negative experience. If you're just like, oh, well, everybody else is climbing at 40. I have to climb at 40. It is not at all the way you ease into something and get used to it. So, but otherwise, yeah, And even her emphasis on resting.
Yes.
Board climbing is akin to, like, for the most part, it's akin to like powerlifting and stuff like that. It's like maximum effort type environment. And just like if you're doing like a, high weight, low rep type of thing, you got to rest appropriately to be able to, do it again and do it more and be good at it. So
she talked about setting stopwatches. I do when I'm climbing by myself. When I'm climbing with friends, it often like works out, but yeah, I set a stopwatch when by myself. It's crucial.
I think if you're really trying to be intentional about board climbing, you have to. And I think that's one of the things that can kind of get lost, because there's this community aspect. And when you're climbing with a bunch of friends, you're having this conversation between attempts, and all of that is great. But you can sit there for like 5-10 minutes, or 10 minutes will go by and you're between attempts, and that's not very conducive to like actually progressing if that's what you're trying to do. So yeah, setting a timer is what's up when you're training on those things.
Michael, I just want to point out that you said that you were at the office and you brought up this video at the office for everyone to watch. And I just thought, I want to go work attention. That's the kind of office environment I want. That sounds very, very fun. It's not what typical corporate jobs are like.
Look, man, I have said it before. We are on top of everything that's being put out around boards. And I mean everything. And so when that got posted, I'm like, all right, stop what you're doing. See what this is about. Yeah. One of the perks of working for a company that makes a board.
Send your resumes to.
No, we can't hire anybody. So don't.
Okay. Save that budget for our Japan trip, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. There was more media this month. It was great. We can't do them all. I love this topic that you wanted to bring up. And I thought we were going to end up teasing it earlier, but it slipped us, even though it is one of my favorite topics that we've ever had on here. And that's this idea of board competitions. I'm going to pass it to you to kind of tee this up a little bit, because you added this topic to the docket. And so I want to make sure that I cover it or prep it in the right way.
Yeah, man. I've just been thinking about this more and more, and just the potential that board competitions have for shaping what the future of board climbing could look like. Because everybody's always talking about, or wants to talk about, like, what are they going to look like? What's the actual board going to look like? Is it going to be like this or like that? And I'm not, of course I think about those things, but I think what's more fun to me is thinking about, like, what can we do with what we already have? Because we're just scratching the surface of this thing. So, but anyway, we get, the reason I think about it is because we just get an unreal amount of sponsorship requests from traditional competitions. And, at a certain point, it just became unrealistic for us at Tension to send product to every one of these things And on top of that, it's just like, as a training company selling the things that we sell and doing the things we do, like traditional competitions have little to nothing to do with what we are selling. So a while back, I was just like, look, we're only going to sponsor board competitions, because board competitions, on the other hand, have a great deal to do with us. And so, and not only that, like, I think there's just so much potential there still. So I'm like trying to get people to do more of them. I just think the competitions like help foster that growing culture of people who spend most of their time in the back of the gym on these boards. Right. I mean, if gyms are going to invest in them, they should do something around that community. Don't act like it's not there. Don't act like they're not important. Like, I think there's a lot that you can do with them. But I just think in general, we've just begun to scratch the surface of what I think could be one of the biggest aspects of board climbing. And I think you can make it quite a bit more mainstream if executed well and done more often. So
let's see it. So I just want to point out that one of the things that really attracted me to boards was the leaderboard, which is kind of an ongoing competition in a way, and getting to see how I stack up across the world. And so, that was instantly attractive to me. And something I really wanted to point out is you talked about how people are focused on what the board will look like in the future. And I'm curious as well, but I almost think that's kind of the backwards way to think about it, where it's like, what do people want to use the boards for? What is the community already doing with the boards? And that might drive how the boards get shaped in the future. So if competitions become a big thing, that's probably going to lead to some consideration in how the boards will be designed next, rather than like, hey, we built this and maybe it'll work for these kind of things. Like, I think it's important to understand what users want rather than like give them something and see how they play with it. So I like how you're coming at it, where what is the community going to do? Like, and let's bring up these environments where we can see how it's used, and then maybe that will inform the next iteration. So I just thought that was important to touch on.
Totally. And okay. So then this is the other thing I was thinking about. So like, if you think about most popular sports, they take place in a standardized environment. So basketball courts, baseball, football fields, hockey rinks, even the footballs, the basketballs, the baseballs, the hockey pucks, all that, they're all standardized. And climbing competitions, the typical climbing competitions, they're not standardized. It's all new. It's all different. And every single time, none of the holds are standardized. The only discipline in climbing right now that is standardized is speed.
And it's very popular.
But I think that just given, the fact that all these other sports are thriving in this just set environment, I think that being that boards are also in a set environment, I just think there is a lot of potential to make this sort of a sub-sport within climbing, just as anything else. So yeah, I just think given that they're standardized, given that there's already worldwide adoption, there's like so much potential for like a future sub-sport. And I also will say this though, there's a big but here, and this is something we've touched on before, but there's a massive problem at the moment with true standardization of these boards. The common OG schoolroom hold set, for example, is, perfect example. It's not just, I'm not to pick on them, because it happens with every board, but, shallow pours, over sanding, slight differences in hold orientations from board to board, like until every part of a standardized board can be tightened up to the point of being truly standardized, it's going to have a hard time reaching the potential that I think it could actually go.
So I'm one that has complained about this vocally, on Instagram, and made it well known that it made me angry when I found out what shallow pours were and why I was struggling on a certain climb or not. But I'm going to push back a little bit on that, because I don't know if that's how we'll really do a competition anyway, in the sense that, think about speed routes. There's a speed route at my local gym. I've never climbed it. I should try it. I should actually, just for fun. But then,
guys, speed climbing is fun as hell.
Really?
I don't care. Oh my God, dude.
Okay.
Did you? And it's okay.
I like watching it.
Did you see when me and Quinn went with Emma Hunt to go speed climb?
No, I didn't. Oh, she's
yeah,
so
a lot
good
of people
too.
didn't watch it because I don't think, the people that we have on our YouTube give two shits about speed climbing, which is fine. But like, we went and tried it with her for the first time, and it was quite funny to watch me and Quinn try this. But but it was such a fun experience, and it is just so different of a climbing experience. It is definitely its own discipline, and I can understand why people like watching it. But anyway,
good on you for trying that. The reason why I was thinking of it though is that there's one at my local gym, but whatever time I get on there doesn't matter. And they wouldn't, if I said, hey, I did like a 2.5 second run, like I should be Olympic gold medal champion. It's like, you're not. You have to do it on that day, on that set, next to everyone else, or on that same one as everyone else. And so I'm a huge fan of standardization. I want it to be as close as possible. But when I think about it as like a sport, it probably still will end up being determined in a location on a day, because that's kind of how we still have to operate. Is like, yeah, but what about on this board together?
I agree that it needs to be like, yes, on that day on a single board, as far as like the big legitimate ones. But just let's also just work backwards and understand that like there is already such a worldwide adoption of these things, right? And I see the potential of this remote situation happening. I mean, even MoonBoard Masters and stuff like that, like they've
So
already
cool.
tried to do this kind of thing. But I think that there's so much more that can happen there in a remote capacity. But in order to do that and to sort of, create like a bracket type system or whatever, however it ends up happening, that standardization needs to be tightened up for sure. And I totally get what you're saying with as far as like happening right then, right there. At the Olympics, they're not going to be, doing it at different spots all over the world. And there's going to have like a single board they're going to have to do something right then, right there. But I don't know. I don't know if board comps are ever headed to the Olympics, but I would say there's a good possibility of making something that is altogether unique as far as like a remote situation. And I've got a couple formats that I'm thinking about, but like, let's just say, for example, they're like, it's a team type thing. And like Great Britain has a team, US has a team.
Well, I don't want to go against Great Britain, dude.
Yeah, no kidding. Whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like it could be a situation where you have certain boards that, yes, you have to do it right then, right there. But there is a situation where if you tighten that standardization and where that it's the same basketball you guys are using, there's just a lot that you can do because of this remote situation that these boards are already setting up. So, and I don't know that the standardization, like tightening, I don't think that it's massively important for like local events at like a single facility. I think that if you're all on that board, that is that controlled environment. But I think it is more important for like a legitimate, like national or international thing where you are kind of feeding into the remote nature of these things and making it sort of this worldwide type deal, which I think it could be.
Something that I want to emphasize is that you kind of called it a sub-sport or a discipline. Like, I don't think you're saying this is the next one for the Olympics, although that'd be cool.
Never know.
But you never know. But I just like that it could be really cool. And I think you mentioned something about this idea of potentially making boards more mainstream than niche, because if they're in all of the gyms all over the world and there's, a consistent sport that is attached to it in competitions, like, of course you're going to get sucked into it. How could you not? Like, I shouldn't say that. Certain types of people like me would get sucked into it. Like, I would just be like, oh, like there's a comp going on, or like there's like a feeder comp going on right now, or there's however that format might get worked out. Like, if I know that's going on. So first of all, I only climb on classics or benchmarks anyways, because they're part of the leaderboard. I'm sorry. That's just how I operate until I do them all, which is tough to do. And then if I knew that there was another even smaller subset of, hey, these are like the 10 climbs going on right now that will allow you to qualify for the next bracket. I'm just making stuff up right now. Of course, I'm going to try those. And on top of that, one of the reasons why I'm going to try it is because I know that guys like you and your team will be setting absolute freaking bangers for those. And they're going to be the best V7 maybe that's possible to create. That took like 2 days. It's not going to be ass. Those will be gas.
Certainly won't be ass. Certainly won't be, if we can help it. But yeah, man, I do. I think there is so much possibility there. But I think that in order for it to get super legitimate, that standardization has to be tightened up. And I do think that there are certainly ways in which that can be more tightened up. I mean, in fact, we're working on it now for the TB2, just to throw that out there. I like, for example, we're starting to begin working with all of the wall manufacturers to provide like precise hash marks on the actual wall itself for the installation of the TB2.
Amazing.
Because I mean, honestly, and I won't sugarcoat it. Like, that's one of the things about the TB2 that I think it's kind of a pain in the ass to set up. I mean, the holds are not, unlike a lot of the other boards, the holds don't like fit within this small the same footprint or whatever. So, a lot of them are just wildly different from one another. And so getting them exactly right is kind of a pain in the ass. But we are working to tighten that up. So for at least the minimum, you're not going to a different gym and like one of the more important holds or whatever is like slightly offset, and it's just a whole different problem that you're climbing,
I like how you're all like careful. You're like, can I say this publicly yet? And it's just cool to hear that you guys are working on that problem. And I would say I've been part of many board setups for all different kinds of ones. It's always a pain in the ass. It sucks. And it's just awkward to like, is this actually pointing up or is it 5 degrees? And even though, it might not make that much of a difference, you just want it to be right and you want it to be quick and easy. Like, then the more likely also it'll be for me to take down the holds and wash them or switch to a new setup. So I'm really psyched to hear that. I know that you talked to Max Zolotukhin, friend of the pod. He was part of putting on a bouldering comp in a new SBP location. Any info that you got from talking to him about that?
Yeah. So they did a competition recently where I think it's a newer facility, if I'm not mistaken. They have like a bunch of boards. They have 5 boards in there, I believe. And yeah, they did a really cool competition because Max was actually in town, like testing. We helped kind of test some of the finals boulders with him that they were setting. But I think the gist of the comp was they set 3 climbs per category on each of the 5 boards they had, which was really cool because it emphasized discipline across all of the different boards, which is really cool. That is an interesting format. It's almost to me like a Triple Crown kind of thing. If you guys know Triple Crown in the Southeast, it's between Horse Pens, Stone Fort, and Hound Ears, which is in Boone, which actually, rest in peace, it's the last year they're going to be doing it, which is good
analogy, by the way. That's a really good analogy of the boards and that comp to that. That's good.
Yeah, but it's cool because like it's across, like, I think you can, in Triple Crown, you can win the comp for that place, but then there's this like bigger prize category where you are, the competitors who do well in each one of them. There's like an overall winner of it. So, but yeah, that's a really cool format, I would say. I think there's a lot of really cool formats. I think the Hueco Rock Rodeo is a really cool format. So, basically it's like organizers can pick certain climbs from the database rather than setting them themselves that fall like within a certain grade range or category. And then, climbers can do their best 10 or whatever, for example, under like a certain time frame. And then like attempts are factored in and whatever. So that's one way I've definitely heard of it. Whether or not this is like the way, don't quote me on. There is no standard competition way, but these are some of the ones that I've heard out. And then going back to like the Triple Crown one, like when you're at the boulder field, it's not just like the V grade that's tallied up. They will go in and it's all of the climbs. So you can pick between all the climbs. I think if we were to do this on a TB2, it'd have to be classic so that they're like verified grades or whatever. but then you like assign point values to them, and then determine points based on that. You add up your best 10, and then again attempts are factored in. But there's a lot of ways that you can do it. I think you can think about it in two ways. So there's camps of like, okay, there's competitions where you use the database, like what's already in there, right, to present the climbs that can be done. I think there's ways in which, that there's certain ways you can do that. And then there's the side where you set your own, which is kind of what the Bouldering project did. I think there was a comp in Salt Lake. It was similar to like a Sisu Master. Do you remember Sisu Masters?
I don't remember. I totally recognize that name. I'm totally blanking on it.
Well, that was basically where the competitors set climbs.
Oh, yeah.
They set the climbs. And there was a comp. I don't know if it was at the front or a bouldering project. I'm not exactly. Maybe it was a bouldering project in Salt Lake. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, I think the finals revolved around the competitors setting the climbs, and everyone had to climb each other's, including their own, which is also really, really cool. As someone who loves setting, I think there's so much potential in even this letting competitors set and having that be sort of a factor in it as well, because that's also a skill. If people think that they're going to get by setting something basic for like super strong people, it's a rude awakening, because super strong people will do anything basic that you give them. It leans into how well you can actually set on these boards, which is kind of cool.
Well, I've talked a lot about my time climbing with Max Solotukin, and me and Max and my other buddy Mark Heel climbed a lot on the spray wall. We call it the plexi because it was a plexiglass spray wall. And Max sets Max boulders. He's an incredible setter, and they're amazing, but they're very unique to him. Mark was incredible at putting weight on his feet and grabbing onto tiny, tiny crimps. And I was always the more thuggy, big jump, big hold, and is so interesting climbing with people who are good at setting and good at setting what they're good at. And it forces you into positions and moves that you have never thought before. And just to bring it all back to boards, this is what's cool is you can go climb on Max's boulders. You can climb on the few boulders I've set. I don't know if Mark has any out there, but just actually, I think if you search Max's profile on, especially on the Kilter board, like you will see they're like titled something like competition climb, like finals 03 or something. And so it's out there for everyone listening. You can go try out these sweet boulders that did go up for a board climbing competition, but I think you put a lot out there for what could be, and it's going to happen, dude. Like it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I go back to the MoonBoard Masters. Like I think it was like a team format, and I think the points are like scored for each row. Because I think there were like zone type. It was like a zone type thing. So it wasn't just if you did it or you didn't do it. I think it was like you got points for how far you got. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not totally clued in on the details of that. But either way, I think there's just additional live stream possibilities with these things that are, yeah. So the only reason I pulled this up is that I think there's just so much potential in what could be. And it isn't just about the future of the physical board itself or, anything like that. I think there's like people are not even tapping into sort of the sport aspect outside of like the leaderboards. I just think there's so much more that we can do.
Well, I got to point out that one of the things that we'd have to figure out, just like standardization, is kind of rules. I got, what's the word? Excoriated by the internet on the suggestion that I did not flash anything because I was measuring my height on a board, or that I allowed my foot to touch another foot while climbing a problem. And
whatever, man. That was like one or two people. Who gives a shit?
I'm sure everyone listening actually knows that I love putting that stuff out there just to stir the pot.
Push some buttons, yeah.
But it's also really important because this is the whole thing is you push the line of what's appropriate, and then you talk about and figure out why is that inappropriate or why is that appropriate? Let's understand the principle that these rules are relying upon. And, if you talk about making board climbing a sport and you talk about people being crowned as winners, and there's money and fame involved, it matters. You have to understand what is appropriate and what's not. I do think that this whole thing of your feet touching other holds, like I was watching Shauna and I saw her foot touch a hold. She's climbing like something super easy for her, but you're like flagging. And of course your foot touches a hold because it would be harder. The boards are more covered with holds than they are bare board. It'd be harder to actually not touch a hold with your flagging foot. It just made me think, like, how do we figure out those rules if you do start making it a real thing? Yeah.
No, I think if the competitions happen, in a remote fashion, there's going to have to be judges, just like there's judges at these other comps, like where, did they show control or did they not? There's going to have to be a judge panel. So people are going to have to be watching for that thing or for that kind of stuff. I mean, like even in the ass or gas video that I was climbing one climb and I called it out on myself. I was like moving away and I like definitely had my foot resting on a hold that was not lit up. And I was like, that's a dab. Like I even called it on myself, but I don't care if it's something like that. But I do think that there's going to have to be people sitting there if we're really going to be legitimate about the rules, just the same way there are at these, international and national competitions. Like you're going to have a judge panel watching this stuff. And the gray area, that's tough. That's always tough, but that's definitely going to have to be a part of it. I also think that there's going to have to be some rules around, again, the remote thing, right? Like, there's competition styles where they're like bouldering leagues that kind of happen over a season, right? And going back to like Triple Crown and these outside bouldering competitions, you have to have someone sign off on your ascent that watched you do it. There's gray area right now around that, but I do think that you're right. Like, we're going to have to establish those rules as well and make sure that those are all vetted and stuff, especially with anything being remote. Like you can't trust anybody, at least in a legitimate fashion, like something like a national comp or something.
Yeah, judges are a good point. Like I can just see like ref throwing a red flag. It's like instant replay, like foul, you touch the hold.
Yeah.
You know what happens to me a lot is I have a foothold and I have an off foot that is not on a foothold. I often really drag my toe that does not have a foothold and use it almost to like as a counterbalance or almost like a fake bicycle as I'm doing a big move. And that can be really tricky on boards because you'll accidentally toe hook, and not in a good way, in a bad way. You're sliding your foot up as you're doing a big dynamic move and it catches on something. It stops your upward movement.
That happens to me all the time. I hate it.
Yeah. It's just something to think about, because I think that you're right that boards will continue to become more popular and people will demand more competitions out of there because they're fun to watch. I watched MoonBoard Mass. I've watched all this stuff and I would participate in them. And so my hunch is that they will happen. And then, these things have to get hashed out a little bit. There's needs to be some rigor applied, and it's all in good fun. We say that, but people take this seriously. People call me out when I make jokes. So, if there's actually a winner crowned, a board lord, like people are going to say, no, they're a cheater. And it's like, why? It has to be addressed. So I think these are conversations that need to lead to actual codification at some point.
Yeah, no, it's got to be, there's a total system that needs to be built around what it turns into as far as a legitimate thing. But yeah, it is just really fun to think about the possibilities there. I'm going to continue thinking about it because I think, not only do I think about all this shit on a normal basis anyway, but people already give that much of a shit about it. Obviously, it's kind of occupying the same part of the brain as a sport would anyway. It just really needs to be pulled together in the right way.
Well, if there's any suggestions, you guys can leave in the comments. And I say that because I was blown away by how many comments we got on suggestions for that flashing of a certain grade. Like, so last time we talked about, was it Adam Shahar who did 12 V12s?
Yeah, well, it was Ben Kim first, then Adam, and then Noah, or whatever. But it just kind of became a thing, and so we were trying to figure out what to name it. But what was the one that we thought was really good? It was
royal flush or straight flush or just flush because it's kind of like flash, and then it's flush because they're all the same color. I don't know. My buddy Primo, his family has a big background in poker, so he's like, I wanted to do a poker one. I think it's hilarious that we're trying to come up with like, who was it that did 12v12s? And then you just start naming off people who all like did something similar. Like, it's like, oh, was it Ben Kim or was it Noah? Like, oh no, it was Am Shahar or whatever. Like the fact that there's so many doing it. But yeah, so thanks everyone for all those suggestions. There was a freaking ton of them. And yeah, I kind of had a partial thing to the poker names too. You know, I've played a little poker.
I kind of like that. I like the Royal Flash or the Royal Flush or whatever the hell. I kind of think we need to lean into it that way. Everybody was talking about factorials and shit, and I'm just like, man, there's nothing I can come up with that's like cool to say around that. Like 10, 12 squared. I don't know. Like I like the Royal Flash thing or Flush thing.
I'm just cracking up because you're like, math. Like I was the same way where people had all these really well thought out like math ones, like 10 to the 10th or squared, or I thought perfect square because it's like 10 to the 10th. That's like a 10 to the power of 10 or 10 to the power of 2, I should say. And so someone wrote like power flash, which I thought was kind of cool. And then there was Latin ones, decaflash or like pentaflash, and all these ones make perfect sense. And I'm like, fuck that. Like, I don't want it to make sense. I'm not like looking for accuracy here. Like a triple double, it is accurate, but it sounds cool to say. It comes from basketball. It just feels cool to say. It's not. So I feel like accuracy is like the secondary thing. The coolest factor is the first thing we should consider.
Yeah. You got to brand it something that's like cool to say. It's so funny. You said when we were making the block back in 2018, I named the block. In fact, for some reason, I have become the one that names our products, most of them. But I was playing with the name Decablock because I was looking at this thing and I'm like, you can kind of use it in like 10 different ways. And so I was like trying to lean into, the numerous things that it could be. And all of a sudden, but as far as naming convention, I've also found a lot of success in sort of minimizing what it is in the name rather than like having the name include all of the things about it, So I just ended up being like, it's block wood, it's a block. And then looking at it,
brilliant. Look at this marketing genius here.
It's just the block. I don't know. But it kind of minimizes it. So when you do look at the thing, you're like, oh man, there's actually a shit ton here. Like it's not just a block. There's a shit ton of things going on here. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. It was almost called the Deca block.
Yeah. Not, dude, get that Latin. That's cool. No need for Latin in here.
Yeah.
How about Golden Grade? I thought that was a pretty good one. Golden Grade. I just like
good.
Golden. That's sounds cooler because I think they referred to the Golden Day. It's like some birthday thing where it's like your age is the same as like the month. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Just golden is a cool word. Golden.
Yeah, I like that. I actually don't mind the Power Flash one either.
Yeah, Power Flash is kind of cool. Maybe we'll do a poll, Michael. We'll pick like something around the flush, the poker one. We'll get Power Flush and Golden Grade. We'll poll. Because
let's poll. I also think we're already way past the competition thing, but maybe you can edit this or something. But I think whatever. Well, I think people should chime in on like what they think is like the coolest format. I want to hear what people think about like just board comp formats. I have thought about a few of them and have seen a few of them, but there's probably a lot of formats that I'm not even thinking about. So chime in. If you got good formats, throw them out there.
We're listening. We're reading the comments, except for the mean ones. We're listening and making polls, and you guys are part of the community. Like we were saying, it's important to have the community and the love drive where everything goes rather than building something and hoping community shows up. And that's something I love that you guys do over there at Tension Off is it's like, I just always feel like that's how good things are made is what do you guys want to do? Not, we built this. How might you use it? Yeah.
Like I'm all for suggestions. We read every single thing. Everybody messages us, posts, comments, whatever. And if you think that we don't give a shit about that, you're wrong. Like we absolutely do. And it goes into almost everything that we do. So in the same vein with this podcast, like give us suggestions, talk to us. We're trying to hear it.
And if you guys post a cool board video, then you get to have Michael just take a coffee break and watch in the middle of his workday.
Totally.
Lucky guys.
I'll do it.
Okay, a little bit of housekeeping before we move on to the Patreon Q&A. Michael, you're going on a very, 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 very special trip, and so you're going to miss the next episode. But we do have someone to sub in. It's a fan favorite. I'm not gonna spoil who it is, but we'll miss you. But I just wanted to let everyone know that if you don't see Michael, or when you don't see Michael on the next episode, don't worry. He'll be back.
It's for a good reason, and you'll probably see why. I'm not going to say anything about it right now, but yeah, the sub in couldn't have picked a better sub. I mean, this guy is my favorite, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and also, I know you can't say anything about that special trip, but damn, am I psyched for you and everything that's gone with that. So lots of fun stuff coming up, and Michael, that was a great topic. The board comps. I know it's coming. I love where your head's going. I love that we're including the community, and I'm just excited because I want to compete. And I hope when we talked about MoonBoard Masters, those were actual Masters, but there's a Masters category, and that's the kind of like 35 or 40 up, and I'll compete, dude. I'll be in there.
Yeah, I will too. Damn it. Okay.
Anyway. Enough of that.
No, we're not right there.
Okay.
Anyway.
Got some good Q&A here from the community. If you want to hear that Q&A and other extra behind the scenes content from this episode and others, head over to patreon.com/testpiece to sign up now. Patrons also get their episodes early and ad free. There's hours and hours of bonus content there to help you on your own path of going from good to great. Still not sure? There's a free 7-day trial for you to check it out. And to help the show grow, please share this episode with someone who would love it. Okay, see you next week.